There is a conspiracy, but it's not the one they've been feeding you. We've all heard the name George Soros, the so-called puppet master of global liberalism, the boogeyman of the right, the man they blame for everything from immigration to social justice movements. But today, I'm going to tell you the truth about George Soros, and it's not the truth they want you to hear. You've heard the stories. Soros, the wealthy Jewish financier allegedly pulling the strings behind global chaos, controlling governments, buying elections. But here's the thing. Soros the Jew is not the real threat. Soros the oligarch, the billionaire capitalist, is the true enemy of our freedom. And if we're going to understand the nature of power today, we need to stop looking for personal villains and start looking at the system itself. The term oligarch has become a buzzword recently, and for good reason. We are talking about a class of people, the super wealthy, the owners of banks, corporations, and the global financial systems who, despite their vast influence, hide in plain sight. They don't need to operate in the shadows. They don't need to form secret societies. All they need is capital. Their power is structural, and it is inherent in the very design of capitalism. George Soros, for all the hype around him, is no different. He's a billionaire who has used his wealth to fund things like democracy promotion and human rights advocacy. But let's get one thing straight. Soros does not fund these movements because he wants to dismantle capitalism. He funds them because they serve his interests. They keep the system running smoothly. They keep global capitalism intact, and they ensure that the wealthy remain at the top. People love to hold up Soros as the benevolent force fighting authoritarianism, but let's take a hard look at what he's actually funding. Soros's Open Society Foundation isn't tearing down the system. It's bolstering neoliberalism. It's about fixing the cracks in a system that was designed to keep the rich in power. If Soros was truly interested in revolutionary change, he'd be dismantling the system of private ownership and wealth accumulation that made him rich in the first place. But he doesn't, does he? No. Instead, Soros the oligarch is a figurehead for a system that keeps power in the hands of the few. He's not interested in ending capitalism. He's not interested in ending wealth disparity. He's interested in maintaining the stability of global capitalism while disguising himself as a philanthropist. And this is where the danger lies. Soros isn't a villain because he's a shadowy puppet master. Soros is a villain because he's part of the very system that oppresses us all. Now, here's where it gets tricky. The right wing has made Soros into the ultimate scapegoat. They claim he's manipulating governments, funding riots, even controlling entire movements from the shadows. But why do they do this? Because it distracts from the very real issue. By blaming one individual, a convenient target, they are masking the real problem, capitalism itself, and the structural inequalities it creates. Soros, as a billionaire, doesn't need to hide in the shadows. He's in the open. His wealth and influence are entirely legal, entirely transparent, and protected by the very system that ensures billionaires are untouchable. When we fixate on Soros as a global puppet master, we ignore the fact that the real puppet masters are the system's architects, the banks, the corporations, the billionaires who profit off of exploitation and inequality. Let's be real here. Soros became a billionaire by betting against the British pound. He profited from market instability. He's no revolutionary. He didn't take down empires. He made a fortune off the very system that exploits the working class. And his investments, while often dressed up as progressivism, are just tools to keep capitalism functioning. Tools that make sure that power doesn't fall into the hands of the many, but stays firmly with the few. From an Enlightenment perspective, this is where the real critique lies. The Enlightenment thinkers like Rousseau, Locke, and Kant believed in universal rights, freedom, and the abolition of arbitrary rule, but they never went far enough. They could never fully imagine a world without the need for rulers, without a class of wealthy elites that controlled the means of production and wealth. And this is the final step of the Enlightenment, to understand that liberty is not just the freedom to speak, but the freedom to live without coercion. True liberty doesn't exist while a few individuals hoard wealth and dictate the terms of everyone's survival. That's why Soros, despite his so-called philanthropy, can never be the solution. He's part of the problem. He still believes in a world where wealth is concentrated in the hands of a few. And that's incompatible with true liberty. The real change isn't going to come from Soros-style philanthropy. It's going to come from a post-scarcity society where no one needs to hoard resources because the basics, food, shelter, healthcare, education, are available for all. That's the true revolution, and it's possible. Technology and systems engineering can provide the foundation for true freedom, where the need for wealth inequality and the structures that enforce it are eliminated altogether. This isn't about fighting Soros or any other billionaire. It's about dismantling the system that allows billionaires to exist in the first place. We need to move beyond scapegoats, beyond blaming individuals. We need to focus on systemic change, not just in how we distribute wealth, but in how we redefine what freedom really is. True freedom comes when no one has the power to dictate how others live. And it's time we finally finish the job of the Enlightenment by making sure that no human is fit to rule over another. This is the future. Let's build it.